Welcome to Cultivating Courage, a podcast exploring fear, courage, and stepping into a life filled with purpose, connection, and love. This week, we're chatting with the amazing coach and counselor, Lauren Michelle Jackson. We're diving into getting past people-pleasing to live the life you want, do what you know is best for you, and lean into your own voice and calling. And we're chatting about everyone's favorite topic, accountability.
All right. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Cultivating Courage podcast. I am your host, Matt Maxwell, and this is my co-host, Kristin Robinson.
What up?
I am a professional coach, actor, speaker, writer, author. Those are the same.
So many things.
Kristin is...
I'm a coach and a retreat leader, and I help people explore their fear and step into their greatness.
She's also a professional earring selector. Check those out.
Oh, yeah, fact.
They're pretty awesome.
I do my best for you guys that watch us on YouTube. For those of you listening on Apple and Spotify, you're missing out.
Yep, check out the video to see Kristin's earrings. We're here with special guest, Lauren Jackson.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
Lauren is one of my very close friends. She's a professional coach like I am. We trained together in the same training program, and she's also a professional counselor and runs all kinds of cool stuff. What do you want people to know about you?
So I am also an author, a speaker, future retreat leader. But mainly I help women to discover their greatness and ultimately help them define their life's purpose to live in their ultimate greatness.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's my passion.
What kinds of projects are you up to?
Oh my gosh. So the biggest one is my new baby. My private practice is called Cultivating Your Essence. It's a private practice mainly focused on women and helping them to find their life's purpose and helping them to live their absolute best life. So we do it from the inside out, really focusing on having a healthy relationship with themselves that determines their relationship with the rest of the world.
Yes.
So that's my biggest one. My other baby, my first baby, she's like a teenager now. I can't believe it. Hey, Miss Lady. She is a women's empowerment workshops that we do. We talk to young girls, adolescents, elementary school girls as well, and college students, where we help them to focus on a healthy relationship with themselves, but also to helping them to really define what they want their lives to look like and how their relationship has either helped them or hindered them from living that purpose. So it's really a transformational where they go from discovering their life's purpose to living into it and cultivate your essence. So it's like a bridge program.
Yeah, I love that. You and I are definitely going to be friends after this.
Yes.
It's happening.
I knew it. I was just telling them before we started the episode that like the moment I met Kristin, I was like, she needs to meet Lauren. And it's finally happening.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me, sweetie.
I think we're going to get into some other topics, but I think it would be interesting on this podcast. We've talked a few times in the past as we mostly come from a coaching orientation.
Yeah.
We've talked about the distinction between coaching and counseling and kind of therapeutic work.
Definitely.
And you're someone who's has a lot of training, and you're a licensed counselor.
Yeah.
Right. And also a professional coach.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, kind of, how does that come into your work with women? How do you choose when to kind of take a therapeutic route versus coaching? How do those interplay with each other?
You know what? What I've noticed in my practice is that even in counseling, there's a certain amount of accountability we have to hold our clients to, right? So in the beginning, it's really trying to find out what in their past has got them stuck. And a lot of times there's normally some type of trauma related to it, right? So we do a lot of underlining work, really trying to find out what's the root of that and how do we begin to put in coping strategies to help them get past that. However, once we kind of gotten past that and you've learned how to manage your feelings a little bit better, we talk about, okay, so how do we hold yourself accountable to creating the life that you actually say you want to do? So a lot of times I find myself kind of bouncing back and forth between coaching and counselor because sometimes there might be like a little trap there where my clients won't see how their past is hindering them. So the accountability part of me is saying, okay, you say you want this type of lifestyle, but yet we see these same patterns repeating themselves time and time again. Where do you really see the hiccup for you in that time place, right? But then once we kind of get past that, it's kind of like, okay, well, you get to drive this seat now. I've helped you get past the hurdles. Now it's up to you to really decide what is the framework that you want this to look like. So how do I support you? So it becomes more of a collaborative. How do we help you get to that place? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So I kind of look at it as I'm partnering with my clients from beginning to end. And then somewhere down the line, we really realize, well, okay, we've gone from the counseling part. Here's now we're stepping into coaching realm. Yeah. And there's a transition that takes place between those two.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
No problem.
So what is the biggest thing that you're like really passionate about right now that you think our listeners and viewers would get the most out of us having a conversation about?
So I think, and Matt knows this very well, I'm passionate about women. And a lot of times it's funny when I sit down with my clients, I hear her say, okay, what's on the top of your priority list? Career, family, my kids, my husband, my wife, whatever, all these other things. And then it's normally at the end where I was like, so you notice you didn't put yourself on the list at all, right?
Yeah.
Nowhere in there. And it's funny, I'll have clients come in and they talk about everything else. I said, and it's yesterday I had a session with my client. I was like, so we spent majority of the session talking about everybody else. What are you deflecting from? Because a lot of times I feel like we find our self-worth out of people that we define our worth as to what we can do for people versus what we're doing for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if we don't find that worth in other people and what they need from us, we feel lost a lot of the times. So my biggest passion is to teach women you are a priority, and you're going to teach other people how to treat you once you actually learn how to treat yourself better.
Yeah. So I'm hearing kind of, and I think it goes women in particular, but for
men too,
everybody, like the idea of really getting to know who you are, your worth, and creating boundaries based on that for yourself.
Boundaries are everything. I think that's one of my real specialties, because I tell people all the time, you can set a boundary, but if you're not consistently enforcing them, people are going to run right all over them.
Yeah.
Right?
Is it really even a boundary?
No.
Then? Yeah.
Because people don't sign up for you to have a transformational change. They're comfortable in the relationship they created with you. However, when you decide to change, you're going to force everybody else to change around you, because they can't be in the same relationship with you anymore. But it's having the courage, I guess, to really say, okay, I am worth this. And sometimes it starts off very small and minimal, but it's big things that kind of build up over time. Yeah.
And do you find that when people step back and really create that with the people in their lives, so not just like I'm changing and you need to deal with it, but really like enrolling them in the transformation and the change that people are doing, that then those people are going to be maybe more supportive, more on board with the work that you're trying to do for yourself, versus like nobody likes change, so like you come at them hard, like this is the new me, like it or don't, versus I'm really trying to create this for myself, and I really want you to be a part of it, is a completely different conversation, I think.
Definitely. I think it's more so people are scared of being vulnerable in that light, right? Because when you actually come from that standpoint, you have to share a part of yourself that a lot of times people are not aware of. So when you're enrolling them in that conversation, there's a certain vulnerability that I tell my clients, you have to be brave enough to actually share that, because a lot of times we're holding people accountable to things they have no clue.
Yeah.
So you're mad at people and they have no clue that they're even pressing on those little pressure buttons, right? So they're walking on landmines. And honestly, you have to take your ownership in the part that you played in it. So in creating that, you're establishing vulnerability. And a lot of times people can enroll in that if they see and they understand from a heart-to-heart connection, okay, no, this is something serious that I need to take into realm. But in the same token, for those that really just don't want to change, it's also eye-opening for you to say, they were never supposed to be a part of this part of my life. maybe for a certain season, but not for the lifetime or where I'm going.
Right.
So it's creating the dialogue, it's creating the vulnerability, but also it's having the courage to really be able to say, I'm going to give you grace because this is going to take a time period for everybody to get adjusted to. Because it's not fair to say, hey, I'm changing.
Yeah.
Get with the program.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a balancing act. And I tell people it's a dance. Sometimes you're going to take 2 steps forward. There's going to be a step back. But as long as there's a rhythm being created, you can find your balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the impact? So there's ways where I might look where I'm basically framing my life around other people's needs, other people's expectations, in particular relationships that might be more amplified.
Yeah.
You know? What is the impact of someone actually turning the focus a little bit more on their own life and their own needs?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you got to be open to recognizing that there's some type of lack, right? That you feel like you have to rise up to other people's expectations. The bigger question is, where did that kind of derive from? What made you feel as though if I'm not this type of way, I won't be accepted? So a part of my job is to help you really figure out where's the root of this problem, right? And then from there, wonder how this has kind of impacted every facet of our lives, not just in relationships, but if you look at it, work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, friendships, just in everyday
It
circumstances.
shows up everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So once you kind of take that layer back, I think it helps to open up your mindset to say, okay, this is why I feel this way. This is how I've been showing up. How do I want this to look going forward? And a lot of times I think people think that once they get it, that means they're automatically going to change. It's like, no, let's be real. You've been able to get something from that, right?
Right. So it's gotten really deeply ingrained.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think what people forget is that we like feeling needed. We like feeling wanted. But it's a difference between feeling wanted, but actually knowing that even if I'm not, I'm still okay. I'm still whole. I'm still a whole person outside of that. And I think people kind of get the two mixed up because some people, and even clients, I'll have them say, I don't know who I am if people don't need me.
Yeah.
But that's a problem. That means you've been running away from whatever those deflections have been in your life that kind of create a barrier between the relationship and you and yourself.
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting underneath that a little bit more.
Yeah.
I've been, so I'm sure there are different flavors of this for men and women, just based on how we're culturally treated and how a lot of our households are as we're growing up. I've been reading a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy that I think could just as easily apply to women. But it basically talks about how for men, there's a particular cultural change that we've gone through over the last 70 years, which is basically the transition of American workers from farms to cities.
Yeah.
And basically how it used to be 100 years ago, most boys grew up with their fathers working there. And they'd go out and they were on the farm or the ranch or wherever, and they're actually working with their dads. And so there was a need for approval of the father figure that generated a certain kind of masculinity.
That makes sense.
And that the shift from dads basically working on farms where boys grew up with them to dads working in offices meant that for most boys during a kind of post-World War II period, their very basic early year survival needs were met by women. And so there was a way of being with women and pleasing them and being nice in a certain way to get women's approval. And it was generated because when you're 2 years old, you do actually need that.
Yeah.
There is a survival reason to get other people's approval and to please them and to stay on their good side and whatever is needed so that you actually get fed.
Yeah.
Because at a very young age,
To get your
you
needs
do
met.
need it.
Yeah.
It's a survival reaction. And then that's how we're conditioned. And as fully functioning adults, we're still acting as if we can't survive without other people's approval.
Yeah.
So the book kind of focuses more on the men, but I think for all of us, there's actually a deep survival, early influence.
Oh God, yes.
That has us feeling like we've got to be approved and please other people.
Oh, definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
That's what's there. And maybe there's ways in which that gets exacerbated for individuals. But then it's like we're adults who actually can meet our own needs, probably, if we stepped into that.
Yeah, definitely.
Acting as if we're two and we're going to die if the other people aren't okay with us.
Right. Yeah. If we're not likable.
Yes.
Yeah.
If we're not acceptable.
You know, in some way. And it for me helped me understand why the shoulds, even shoulds that I'm like, man, that should is lame.
For example?
Oh man.
Pick the biggest one.
The lame shoulds. Okay.
Just pick one.
Well, shoulds around career, for example. What people should do in their career and what they shouldn't do in their career. Why it can feel so scary to act outside of whatever our family, community shoulds are around what a person should or shouldn't do with their career. Yeah. To step outside of that, even when we know rationally it makes sense and in our heart it's what we want, there can be such a pullback, right?
Oh,
so much fear around stepping outside of those shoulds and facing judgment.
Yeah, what's everyone going to think? What are they going to think that I'm doing it? What are they going to think if I fail? What are they going to think if I succeed? Yeah. What's everybody going to think? Yeah.
It's funny. I think about specifically like the relationship between me and my mom. And, you know, in my eyes, she was a single mom, so I never wanted to make her look bad in any type of way. So I had this pressure of, I want to be the perfect daughter. So I'm going to go in the perfect career. I'm going to be the perfect student. I'm going to excel in everything. And I remember it was kind of just like, I told her I wanted to work in the music industry, right? No, I don't think that's an appropriate job for you. And now I'm trying to now I'm scrambling around because I already found my colleges. I already found everything. But no, this is not going to be acceptable to my mom. So now I'm like, well, what the hell? Now I got to figure out something else. Yeah. So then it's kind of like I go from career to career to career. She's supportive somewhat as long as it fit into her viewpoint. And it wasn't until I decided, and Matt, you remember, I decided to leave my job and I started the coaching program. I remember that was the first time where I did not have my mom's support because she didn't agree with me. But instinctually, I knew it was time for me to leave my job. And I left without any real support or without any notion of knowing if this was going to work out or not. I did what was best for me. But the fear of, I disappointed. She doesn't approve. How is this going to work out in the long run? But it was in that time where I really got to learn to lean into my own gut, my own voice, and create something outside of the fact it's like, hey, this is what I know I'm called to do. Yeah. You don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to like it, but I'm doing something that I know is going to help me in the long run, right? So I think it's definitely having the courage, but also too taking that leap of faith to say, if this is what I'm going to bet on, I'm always going to bet on myself. And being okay with that decision, because sometimes you're going to win and excel, and sometimes it's going to be a hard journey, but it may be worth it in the long run. You never know.
Yeah. Well, I think there's, to a certain extent, if you're following your path and not a path that's being defined by someone else, whether it's a hard journey or a successful journey, however you define that, it's your journey, and there's comfort and like fortitude in that because it's yours. Whereas when you're journeying down someone else's path and things are hard and miserable, they're just hard and miserable. Yeah. But like if it's hard and you're on your path, you're like, it's hard, but I'm doing something I really care about. Yeah. And it's different.
So many people are scared to do that though.
Yeah.
God, being authentic to you and just staying true to you, I think that is the scariest thing you can ever ask of yourself. But it's probably the most rewarding thing you could ask of yourself too.
Yeah, there's like it's like let's see, how do I say this? If I choose this outside of what other people think I should do, and it doesn't turn out well, and like you said, we never actually know that because the story's never written until maybe we die or maybe 10,000 years from now or maybe never when the earth explodes. The story's never really written, but there's a way in which we might look like we failed or we made a mistake or whatever, right? If we do that following our own path, that's to me seems scarier than like, well, I did what everybody thinks people should do. I went to college, like, I did this, I followed the path and it didn't work out. But I followed the common sense wisdom of my family or culture or whatever.
So it's their fault.
Yeah, their fault, but I don't look bad. I mean, I did everything right. I did everything people say you should do. So it's, there's like an ease or comfort to failing as long as you're following what everybody thinks you should do, than actually having to stand out on your own and be fully responsible for how it goes. Right? Because chances are there's some assholes out there. They're going to be like, told you so.
Yep.
Told you so.
You got to be strong enough to take that.
Yep. And be willing to say, no, this is what I was committed to. And no matter how it went or how it will go, this is what I'm doing.
Well, I mean, remember when me and you started the coaching program, I think you guys got a bird's eye view of when I first started to where I ended. And it was kind of just like, I felt like I had to be the strong Black woman. You can't see me weak. You can't see me fall. And I try to hold that up for so long. And it wasn't until somewhere in the middle of it, it was kind of like I was always on top of my game. But I remember it was one time I couldn't pay tuition. And I actually had to ask somebody for help. And they showed up. And thankfully, I did not miss one session. But when I sat down and actually reflected on, I lost my car, I lost my apartment, I had to move back home. I was making a nice salary to now I'm down to nothing. But then I look back on that journey, I was like, but damn, I don't regret any part of it. And it's like, it's mine. I transformed in a way like I never thought I could. And I came in thinking like, oh, I'm the authority figure. No, you guys are going to learn from me, not vice versa. But it wasn't until I embraced that side where I was like, oh my God, you can get past what you think you're supposed to do. And maybe there's a cultural, and it's not even maybe, there is a cultural piece, because especially being a Black woman, especially second generation college where there's so much pressure for you to kind of perform, you're not following in, especially baby boomers' eyesight, as far as you go to work, you get your 9 to 5, you support your family, you get married, you have children, and then you repeat the process. And now I'm kind of defying, especially what my family thinks success is supposed to look like. And to a certain degree, a lot of them respect it. To another degree, a lot of them don't understand. But they know that I don't have to depend on them to ask for money. They know that I'm creating something and I'm actually happy. And I get to live the life that I choose to live now versus when they got retired, they could actually create for themselves. So you break generational curses, along with you create so much opportunity as far as what success really looks like. It's crazy. And I think that's a transformational thing that people, especially people of color, we get to kind of grab hold to. It's like, we don't have to go the cookie cutter route, because it doesn't always work that way for us, but it's being okay with going a non-traditional route and knowing that wherever way you land is always a part of your journey anyway. It's crazy.
Kristin.
Yes, Matt.
Where are external shoulds most governing you in ways that you wish they weren't?
Probably the big ones for me are around career and around like relationships and what I think it could look like and what I think it should look like, and figuring what I actually want it to look like. With career, like I make a really nice amount of money doing something I absolutely do. The work itself, I don't mind. I don't love it.
This is, by the way, outside of your coaching career.
Yes. Yeah. I have a 9 to 5 in an office. And that I absolutely like. I wake up every morning and hate going to work. I love the people I work with. I do not enjoy the person I work for.
And what is the should there that's like
I should have more money in the bank before I like jump in feet first to this new career where, you know, I should have income coming in from that before I quit my job. I should put more in the bank.
And is that an internal should?
I think it's an internal should, and it's just probably a generational should. Like my family is responsible with their money. Both of my, you know what I mean? Like it's,
Here's where I think it gets really challenging. Living your own authentic life is that some of the external shoulds we grew up with, ways we were conditioned to think people should be or things they should do or whatever, some of those are so internalized, I'm not sure whether they're authentic to me or not. There's things that are clearly like, everyone expects me to do this and I don't want to. I don't like it. It's clearly external. And that can still feel like a lot of pressure and that can still govern us, right? There's other things where it's just like, I kind of have trouble sorting it out because I've at some point kind of agreed with those externals.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's hard to know, like, is this something I'm doing because I've been told I should, or is it something I actually really believe in or believe in not? You know, there's like there's an internalizing of shoulds where, and part of me is like a part of a lot of us probably is like rebellious, right? So you'll see some people that are like, forget all of that. I'm doing my own path. And it's almost, to me, it's still being controlled by the externals because it's just in reaction to, rather than just truly independent of all of that. This is the life I want to live.
Making a conscious decision.
Right.
That's
You're
not
going
in reaction to,
a 180.
and it's not based in.
Yeah.
Right.
So discovering like what actually is, you know, that's why I was like, there may be a part of Kristin that's like, you know, this is challenging right now, but I really do want to set up, you know, financial.
And I think there is some of that is internal because I know how it feels to live paycheck to paycheck. So I've experienced that. I experience how it is to not do that and live comfortably and be putting money in the bank. And I know that one is more stressful than the other in a different way. Right? Like a strictly financial perspective, one is more stressful than the other. Now, is there a payoff to being less stressed about money? Yeah, I'm stressed out about work all the time. So it's a trade-off, and that's then for me to figure out. Yeah.
And I think part of the gift of that is it like forces us to examine it all, right? If we allow it.
Yeah.
And some of us
that's
will just
the biggest part.
Right, but there is an opportunity in that to actually discover what really matters to me and something to like break through in, right? So that we can create what we want.
I'm like finally, so with all of the like work that I've been doing lately, like this week I'm asking to cut my hours.
Which is huge.
And that gets us right back to the beginning, right?
God.
Which is
And
actually
like,
speaking up for
because
your life and expressing what you need.
Yeah, because it's what I need. Like I'm officially starting a coach training program. I'm doing self-expression and leadership program. Like, and all of that is starting September and October. And that's my future.
Yeah.
Like this job is just my bank account. And like, I want to be fully present in the things that I actually like care about and I'm creating. And I can't do that
unless
when I'm in the office 5 days a week. And I don't need to be. I can get done what I need to get done being there 3.5 days.
Yeah, but it's one thing for you to know that.
Yes, I know. So I have to like create
the courage,
and
the place where you have to actually test
follow
yourself.
Is
to actually ask for it, right, and start to set your
and
boundaries
create it.
In the face of an environment like that where there's massive resistance.
I think the hardest part is declaring it, right? Because after you declare it, it's kind of like everything you say afterwards. It's kind of like it doesn't feel right if you're not in alignment with it. Right. So now there's that personal accountability. I said I want this, but if I continue to go against it, now it's like a personal account where it's like, how do I actually create this for myself? Because there's no hiding back from it.
Yep. Yeah.
Once
I commend you,
faced
though.
it.
Oh my God, yeah. Because I think the hardest thing is actually saying what we want. Because once you say it, it's kind of like, okay, well, how are you going to get there?
Yeah.
And
And
we have
one
to be
thing-
responsible
Oh
for
my
it.
God, nobody likes accountability. Now, I'm a coach, and I don't like to be accountable.
Yeah.
Like going to my coach and saying, "Oh, I fell short today. I didn't do." Now, what got in the way? Me. And
Yeah.
when you realize it's you, it's kind of like, oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah. It's almost
How do I change
always
it?
you, right?
It's always you.
Almost
let's
always
be clear.
you.
Because we make time
Yeah.
for what we want to make time
Yep.
for, and we create what we want to create.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just like, if you want to create it, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
Yeah. We were just talking about this a while ago. What's your commitment?
Yeah.
And who do you share it with that you know is going to hold it accountable? Because I know I'm good for, if I really want to create this, who do I want to tell that I know is going to hold me accountable, or who can I BS with a little bit, right? So if I tell a certain friend, it's kind of like, they'll give me some room. No, you need time for self-care and everything else. Like,
The
yes.
easy out. Yeah.
But then if I talk to my one best friend and I'm like, oh, damn it. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Let me get in my ass a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's bookmark it there.
Yes.
Okay, so I think a cool place to look for people listening, first of all, is, authentic to your desires,
Yes.
your actual wants. What is there to express to the other people in your life right now? Set boundaries, make requests.
Ask for
authentic to
enrollment.
what you really want outside of shoulds. And who will you declare your wants to that
Yes.
will hold you accountable in a way that you actually have to create what you want?
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So take a look for you. That wraps up
It does.
an episode of our Cultivating Courage podcast. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you next week.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. I'm Matt Maxwell. You can connect with me on LinkedIn or other social media, or learn about coaching with me at thisishearthstone.com. And please check out my book, How to Hold a Cockroach, now available through Amazon. You can connect with Kristin on Instagram at Robinson Kristin, that's Kristin, or find her upcoming workshops at thrivecoachingstudio.com. Please subscribe to us wherever you listen and leave a great review.
And don't forget our practice for the week. Authentic to your true desires. Express or request something from someone in your life.
And we'd love to hear how it goes in the comments section wherever you listen, or leave us a note at cultivatingcouragepodcast.com.